people are still stuck there. So what can Canada realistically do now? I should say both the U.S. and the U.K. are still getting people out. Let's bring in some candidates to debate this. Karina Gould is the Liberal candidate for Burlington. Michelle Rempel Garner is the Conservative candidate for Calgary-Nose Hill. Heather McPherson is the NDP candidate for Edmonton-Strathcona. Welcome to you all. I'm going to start with you, Michelle Rempel Garner, because I just had the Defence Minister on, Harjit Sajjan, who would not tell us. He said Canada is going to continue to try to get people out, although he wouldn't say if, for example, a C-17 would go back in. What do you make of the end of the mission? Obviously, in the wake of this terror attack today, there's tragedy as well, but that Canada has shut it down now.
Because I don't have another vehicle to do this, I'll just say this. I have 3 constituents. 3 people were approved for entry into Canada that didn't make it on the last flight out. One was a Canadian citizen. Family members of a constituent had 4 visas only granted yesterday, too late to make it to the airport. So what am I supposed to tell them? Like, I want to lay the gravity of the situation out on here. The government called an election knowing that this was happening and then sent people to the airport, to hotels in the area where there were attacks. What do I tell these people? Like, we have to be putting the compassion for these people first right now, aside from everything. And I need answers. What am I supposed to tell my constituents? I'm so frustrated and heartbroken to be in this situation. I don't know the Liberal who's on the panel, Evelyn, but whatever, like, I need an answer. And I think that there are many Canadians who are in this situation right now who just need to know what to do. And they need to be the government needs to be transparent. If they are telling people, like, we're not doing anything more, then where should people go? What's the plan from here? Because we don't want people to be in harm's way. And for me right now, it's about getting people safe. It's about putting a human face to this and addressing these issues. So I need some answers from my constituents today.
Ms. Gould, I just asked the Defence Minister. The government literally sent out letters to people. I've spoken to them. I had Basir on the program, an Afghan interpreter, but other people with documentations like him and like Michelle Rempel Garner spoke about. They've been told it's over. Other countries like the U.S. and the U.K. are still evacuating. Answer Michelle Rempel Garner's question. What is Canada doing for these people? What should they do now?
Sure. Thanks, Evan. And first of all, let me just say today was an absolutely heartbreaking day. The terror attack was devastating. And I just want to give my condolences to everyone who was affected by that. I also want to recognize the incredibly hardworking staff of our Canadian Armed Forces and our officials that were on the ground evacuating 3,700 people during this really difficult situation. And I also want to respond by saying that the Government of Canada, we continue to work with our allies to try and evacuate as many people as possible. We continue to coordinate with the U.S., with the UK, with other allies that are present on the ground, and we will continue to do that so long as the U.S. remains in Afghanistan. And we want to keep people out of harm's way. We are also working with Afghans that have been evacuated but that don't have a third country to go to ensure that we can resettle people here in Canada to make sure that they can be safe. So we continue to do this hard work. We continue to work with our allies on the ground.
Can I just press pressure on that? I know you're continuing, but we have no diplomats there. I'm just looking at the UK today. Their defense minister said there will be 11 more evacuation flights today. Like, every day lives could be spent. So the defense minister said a similar thing that you're saying. Just be practical. Is there any hope that Canada's going to get people from their safe houses through the airport? Because the letter apparently says no. So when you say you're working with allies, what does practically that mean for people on the ground? That there's a hope or there's no hope?
It means that we continue to work with allies because we want to ensure that every allied flight is full that leaves. And so we are working with them that if there are people that are at the airport to try and get them on those planes. But it is a very difficult situation on the ground. I mean, today's terror attack demonstrated that it is very, very challenging right now. And the U.S. is wrapping up their mission. Other countries have wrapped up their missions as well. We don't have the same kind of air capacity that the U.S. and the troop capacity that the U.S. has.
You knew
months ago.
Evacuated our embassy, and now there's no answer. So what do I tell these people, Karina? You evacuated the embassy, and you have no plan. So you have to respond to this. Like, platitudes
Michelle,
don't cut
with all due respect,
What?
Michelle, with all due respect, we all want to see Afghans evacuated to safety.
And you evacuated the embassy. I'm sorry.
But we are
it's a time to get angry. You need a plan. And you need to tell these people this, Michelle, so that they go to a safe place.
Michelle, we all care deeply about this and want to see people go to safety.
So you need to respond, Karina. You evacuated the embassy and you had no plan.
Listen. Okay, I want to bring in Ms. McPherson to be fair here. Ms. McPherson, Jagmeet Singh, the NDP leader, said he would have done things differently. What exactly could and should have been done differently?
You know, honestly, I completely agree with Michelle today. There are people that are phoning our offices that need to get help. And I wrote to the minister in February and said, have you done enough to make sure this isn't going to be a situation we're in? You know, people have been calling for years for us to deal with this, to make sure that we didn't leave our allies, we didn't leave people behind. And we're in a situation where my staff, myself, we're phoning people and saying that your government has turned their back on you, that they are saying 20,000 people, and there is no chance that they are getting 20,000 people out. There is no chance that they are helping your families. There's no chance that you're helping the women and girls that we spend billions of dollars to train, to lift up, to give hope. And now we're leaving them in a more vulnerable position than before we left. So you know, to say that we're doing our best, it's a dangerous situation is completely irresponsible. We didn't need to be in this situation, and the Prime Minister needs to take ownership for that, and the Prime Minister needs to continue to get as many people as he can out until the deadline.
Ms. Gould, let me just press you with a detail. I spoke to a senior veteran who is working desperately to get people out. And one of his questions is the government willing to partner with engaged charitable Canadian-based organizations with links to NGOs that are managing the Kabul-based families and the affected groups? I've spoken to them. I've been on calls with the Veterans Transition Network. They've been on this program. They're on the ground. They have explicitly said it's been bloody well difficult to get and coordinate with the government. They are leaving, of the 400 families they're helping, only 16 or 18% got out. If so, have those discussions started to partner with those groups to make this coordination happen?
So, Evan, I've been involved in those conversations as well, and we have been very engaged with the incredible veterans that we have here in Canada who are doing everything that they can to try and help our Afghan allies and supporters and interpreters. One of the major challenges that we have, though, is that the Afghan banking system has effectively collapsed. It is near impossible to get funds to Afghanistan to do this work, but we are turning over every rock and doing our very best and our utmost to see what we can do to get these people to safety. We continue to work with the US, with the UK, with other partners to extend as much as possible what we can get people out of Afghanistan, because we want the exact same thing. It's unfortunately an extraordinarily difficult circumstance, very dangerous, and the situation is very fluid on the ground.
I know.
Really disappointing.
We know that now, but I think the criticism from both Ms. McPherson, Ms. Michelle Rempel, and you guys, Ms. Rempel Garner, you can jump in, was we had an opportunity when the embassy was open to actually do this earlier. But the government saying now it might be too late, Ms. Rempel Garner, what do you make of that?
There is going to be a time to litigate what happened. Right now, I'm concerned about my constituents who I have no answers for. These platitudes are not going to save lives, and nobody can wait until September 20th. I think it is morally bankrupt that this government evacuated the embassy without a plan to deal with this and called an election without a plan to deal with this and hoped that Canadians would just turn a blind eye. But Canadians are better than that. We help people abroad, and we are not going to accept this lack of answers. Right. This transcends partisanship, it transcends the campaigns, and I'm not going to rest until I have answers for these constituents, because their families' lives are at stake and we have a duty of care that has been abdicated by this government.
We also have a
Ms.
duty of
McPherson,
care to our Canadian personnel who are in Afghanistan, and we must also be protecting them in a difficult situation.
I'm a combat
I mean,
veteran,
I find it a little difficult to hear from Ms. Rempel Garner right now when her platform specifically looks to close the exact refugee program that we are using to evacuate people. So it's a bit difficult when the Conservatives talk about
program.
this. I
cannot hear you both. I'm sorry. That is not helpful for our viewers. Ms. McPherson, I should just say, I did ask the defense minister, are you willing to send a C-17 back in if things stabilize to get more people out? He said they're willing, but they've sent a letter to people on the ground outside the wire that they're not going to do it. So there seems to be some kind of mixed message there. But what needs to happen now in these critical days or going forward, Ms. McPherson, in the NDP's view?
So from my perspective, I think what we need to do is everything we possibly can to get those folks out. And there is still time. We do still have time before that August 31st deadline. You know, we shouldn't be in this situation. I think we all can agree that the government has dropped the ball, that we have called on them to act on this, that there has been steps they should have taken far before this. We're in this situation now, and we need to commit all of our resources. This can't be a partisan thing. This has to be a thing where we all work together to get the people out that were our allies, that are Canadian citizens, that are families and loved ones of Canadian citizens. And we do still have time. It is the 26th. The deadline is the 31st. I don't want to put any of our brave soldiers at risk, but I do think that, you know, this is heartbreaking. This is absolutely embarrassing and heartbreaking and devastating for all of us to see what Canada has become on the world stage at this point.
All right. This is an ongoing debate. I always appreciate the three of you joining us. I know you all three waited because we had the live event with Joe Biden. I very much appreciate your patience. Speaking to everybody, Karina Gould, Michelle Rempel Garner, Heather McPherson, thank you for taking all the time today. I appreciate it.